Ooh, that's what I want to see in the NBA Finals, baby. That is what I want to see. This right here, all of these notes and everything I was writing, we can close this and we can toss it to the side. Another incredible comeback win by the Indiana Pacers. The Cinderella run. And the only reason I'm saying the Cinderella because they've been playing high elite basketball at towards the end of the back year of the regular season, going into the playoffs. They've been on some elite stuff. But it's the game-winning shots. It's the never-die mentality. It's the fact that they got a full entire roster where everybody is able to contribute throughout the course of a game for them to win, and especially moments like this. This, by far, was one of the ugliest games I've seen the Pacers play. You obviously can't call it the worst game because it came out with a win. But when you talk about having 19, 20 turnovers at the half, right? I don't think anybody was in double figures scoring wise going into halftime for the Indiana Pacers either. But I kept telling myself, and I think I had it in my notes, where at a certain point, it felt like, I'll just be honest as a viewer, it seemed like the Thunder were going to win this game. So I started to prepare myself mentally on the different talking points I was going to have about this game. And one of the things that I was going to say in favor of the Pacers was, hey, throughout the course of this game, you gave yourself chances and you hung around with a lot of things not being super sexy. Like at one point, I think it was like 98-94. The Thunder had a 4-point lead. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, obviously make this an interesting game. If we can go to overtime, we get a game-winning shot. But I'm like, man, even though the Thunder have control over this game for the most part, every time the Pacers make some type of run, there's an answer for the Thunder, or they figure out a way to force 2 or 3 consecutive turnovers or something like that. But I'm like, man, for them to have 20, I think at this point they may have 22 or 23 turnovers. For them to have that many turnovers, they're kind of hanging around in this game. And I think one of the biggest things, and even Doris Burke said it early in the broadcast, was like, the killer is the live ball turnovers. But when you have the ones that go out of bounds, like Obi Toppin had a couple of long passes in that first quarter to Tyrese Haliburton that went in the backcourt, that's a dead ball turnover. Pascal Siakam maybe getting a charge. It stops the possession. They have to inbound the ball, and then it resumes. So in theory, though you gave up 25 turnovers, they only scored 11 points off of those turnovers. Now, obviously, you don't want to have 25 turnovers or 20 turnovers in any game. That's just not what you want to do. And the Thunder, throughout the course of the playoffs, have forced every team that they've played to turn the ball over at a very ugly rate. I believe the Grizzlies averaged like 19 turnovers a game in that opening series. I think the Denver Nuggets averaged 16 turnovers. The Timberwolves averaged 16 turnovers. And now one game into the finals, you're at 25 or 24 turnovers for the Indiana Pacers, who were a team that throughout these playoffs have taken care of the ball at a decent rate. I didn't like the start for Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin just didn't feel like things are going. And as a basketball player, we've all had those moments where you start a game, you just have a rough patch to a game, and you're like, man, what's going on? I even seen Obi Toppin in a couple of those possessions, just kind of like, man, what is going on with me right now? Like, can't nothing go. But he stayed focused, he stayed locked in, and he was able to start knocking down some very, very big three-point shots. That's always been the main draw to the Pacers to me. I love Tyrese Haliburton. Feel like every single series he's climbing up that ladder, not just in a point guard realm, but in the best player in the NBA's realm as well. I think the conversation throughout these playoffs has been, you know, is he better than this guard? Is he better than that guard? Is he a top 5 guard? I think now you got to start having those conversations about just the overarching top players in the league. And I love it because this is a guy who came out and have a game where he realistically only had 14 points, but he continues to step up and make those plays down the stretch for that last possession for them to take the lead. And when he hit the go-ahead bucket, he went and got the ball. He had the ball. He didn't look to make a play. He didn't look to pass. And that's why at times, I don't know if frustration is the word to use, but maybe Pacer fans do feel frustrated. I'm like, man, Hallie, play like that all the time. He has to have certain possessions or certain stretches, in this series where he plays how he has that mentality that he just had right there, where sometimes you get the ball and the only thing you focus about is getting a shot for yourself. He's such an intelligent natural passer and playmaker that he's never going to not be able to see a window or an opportunity to make or create a play for one of his other teammates. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's ever going to have just tunnel vision, right? And I think they're just at a different level when he plays with that aggression and he's turning that corner. And that's one of the things that I feel like the Pacers lacked. And that's where you want to kind of see development in real time. And I understand it's a little bit unrealistic and I don't want to ask for too much. But I was really watching this game looking at a guy like Benedict Mathurin. And I was like, these are the moments in the situations where, and again, Benedict Mathurin is still younger as far as, his career and everything. He has still time to make this evaluation or, this development in his game. But he's such a good attacker, and he's a guy that can put pressure on your defense because of his driving ability and his ability to finish at the rim. And he had a really good play. I believe this was the second half. Yeah, second half, I think third quarter, where he got it and he went left on the left side of the floor and had just an easy bucket on whoever that was guarding him, Cason Wallace or somebody. And in my mind, I'm like, that's what he's capable of. And I think that's, looking at the stats here, that's his only field goal. The rest of his points came from, he had 5 points. Yeah, the free throw line. The remaining 3 points came with the free throw line. He had that one layup, 1 of 5, and he didn't take any threes. But Benedict Mathurin and Obi Toppin at times, the awareness and the ability to make certain plays. Benedict Mathurin, I wish had the ability to not have such tunnel vision, because you see a guy like TJ McConnell who is not as athletic or as strong of a driver as far as finishing at the rim as a Benedict Mathurin. When he gets those 2 feet in the paint, it's able to open up and make plays. And TJ McConnell, gets in that paint. He I think assisted, was that Thomas Bryant maybe? Or was that Miles Turner in the corner for a 3? And it just opens up so much for them. Even at that fourth quarter, I felt like that was like, and I'm going to see all of the actual breakdown. Yeah, Nembhard had 8 points in that fourth quarter. And I felt like a lot of that was just him having this mentality of being a scorer. A lot of them have this mindset where they want to make the right play. Obviously, nobody is ever going to be against that. That's been their identity. They are a full roster where Ben Shepherd can play, Benedict Mathurin can play, Obi Toppin can make 5 threes, Nembhard can do a step back 3, Haliburton can do what he does, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner had a couple of plays where he kind of created for himself. They have options, right? Like, we get it. Like, everybody on the floor for them has always found a way to be weaponized on the offensive side of the basketball so that nobody feels comfortable just disregarding somebody. But to a certain degree, especially in that opening quarter where you're trying to play so fast, you're trying to move the ball so much, and OKC is just such an active defense. They are so active. I mean, this is like, it reminded me of being in high school, right? And I'm sure every high school can relate, but you always had a one team in your conference that was just like defensively just a hell to go against. For us, that's when we used to play against my cousin Javon Carter in Proviso East. They used to full court press 94 feet the whole entire game. If you got offensive rebound and you tried to bring it down, they're swiping at the ball. It was like going against 5 Alex Carusos. And it's the same thing when I was watching this, where it's like Miles Turner get offensive rebound or Pascal Siakam, and they drop the ball and the hands is flying. You leaving your feet to make a pass, and Hardenstein is tipping the ball. Cason Wallace is slapping the ball. And it's just like, at a certain degree, I love the passing. I love the free flowing. But I really felt like in that fourth quarter, things started to click, and they had a lot of success when a couple of times, you don't have to do it for the entire course of the game. You don't want to be too selfish, but there were instances, and my favorite parts of the game for the Pacers was when Nembhard got into that bag. Man, I love me some Jakob. You need some of that sometimes. It's okay to be selfish. In a game of basketball, it is okay to periodically be selfish. It's only a detriment when it's the only thing you do. When every time you drive, you never see the kick out. You know what I mean? When every time you touch the ball, it's score nothing. That's when it's detrimental. I think OKC does a good job of that sometimes too, where it's like, I think at the end of the first quarter, they only had like 2 assists as a team, because it's just like, we could just get our shit off. You know what I mean? Check and drive on a guy. J-Dub can get a handoff and, get into his little mid-range game. We know what Shea can do. it's it's okay to kind of get in that bag. So I love that from them in the fourth quarter. They shot 60% from three in the second half alone. I thought they did a really good job of making sure that they were able to get to the free throw line. That opening quarter, where is it at? They only shot. That's why I probably shouldn't have tossed my notebook in dramatic fashion, but content king, we got to give y'all some shit. Yeah, they only shot 2 free throws in the first quarter. Then in that second quarter, that number went up to 8, and then in the third quarter, they were able to get to the line just 4 times, and then in the fourth quarter, I would imagine it spiked back up where they got to the free throw line 7 times. So, yeah, they were able to get a lot of easier opportunities. 12 of 24 from the field, so they shot 50, 60, 71 splits. And this was the quarter where they turned the ball over the least. Only 3 turnovers in that fourth quarter. Really, really, really good stuff. I want to see them cause some turnovers. I felt like OKC was extremely comfortable in this game, even though you saw a lot of full court pressure and whatnot. There was just a lot of times where OKC just comfortably was able to be in a bag, and it's evident. They turned the ball over 6 times. There were times where Case and Wallace attacked Tyrese Haliburton off the dribble. There was a time where Caruso took Ben Shepherd off the dribble. Just guys that aren't necessarily attacking perimeter threats. I was disappointed in seeing some of that. You know what I mean? Shea is going to do what he do. J-Dub is going to do what he do. But these others cannot be guys that are attacking you. There was a play where Isaiah Joe kind of created for himself in the mid-range. It just created a shot. And I'm just like, that you can't have that if you're Indiana. There's already going to be enough pressure of guarding Shea, who took 30 shots today. Took 30 shots and almost made 50% of them and made some big-time three-point shots. He was able to score 38 with only 8 free throw attempts. Just was getting to it. He's already a handful enough. J-Dub is already a handful enough. So you got to limit the Isaiah Joes and the Carusos and the Case and Wallaces, attacking you. I want to give some credit to Mark Dayton, though. I did like the change of going with Case and Wallace in the starting lineup. His impact and how they was able to guard early on was definitely felt and shown. I think that was a really, really good call. I think OKC did a really good job throughout the course of this entire game. The Indiana Pacers are just one of those teams where, again, they've had this mentality all playoffs long where it's a never die, mindset. They don't get discouraged. They are fearless, and they continue the game plan for the full stretch of the game. So you see Mae Baskins, you see them try to relax, and you'll see the coaching staff on the sideline saying, no, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up. And so those are some of the things, and I think towards the end of the game, it worked in their favor. I think about the I can't remember off the top of my brain what the clock was, but there was a certain possession after a made basket where I vividly remember the Pacers coaching staff telling Miles Turner to get up because they forced Chet to bring the ball up yet again. And Chet got past Miles Turner, and he missed that layup. That is what speeding up your opponent does, where you sped him up, he got past you, and he felt like you had to take the ball up. You're not too many guys are going to get past the defender and then stop the breaks. And a typical shot that he normally makes, he missed. And that gave you a chance to go at this lead. And those were the plays that ultimately gave you a chance down the stretch to win. I think Andrew Nembhard gets the game ball. Tyrese Haliburton made an incredible shot, made an incredible play yet again. But I think that game ball goes to Nembhard. What he was able to do in the fourth quarter from an offensive standpoint and the defense he played on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, especially on that last stretch, just him potentially having a chance to snatch the ball or tie Shai up, and Shai had to fight back and then go into the shot. Just that amount of defense. Having Shai adjust that much from going to in my dribble to just going into my jump shot, but having to fight him off and then going to the jump shot, that much made the difference of a make or a miss for a guy who had 38 points. And I just think that those things can't go unnoticed. Again, the offensive pressure that he put on the Oklahoma City Thunder in that fourth quarter, a lot of guys should get credit. Going forward, I think there are some benefits. And like I said, I was prepared to talk about them, even anticipating that the Pacers are going to lose. I mean, again, 24 turnovers, 25 turnovers. You gave up how many offensive? You gave up 10 offensive rebounds. Luckily, you got your shit together and was able to get 13 offensive rebounds yourself. But early on in the game, Oklahoma City was just really killing them. I was very disappointed on that aspect from Obi Toppin as well. In that first quarter, Lou Dort had, 2 or 3 possessions where he got the offensive rebound consecutively. And it's like Obi Toppin, he is a lot smaller than you. Same thing happened in the second quarter where they had 3 offensive rebounds. So you give up 6 offensive rebounds in the first half. Goodness, gratefully, you was able to slow it down a little bit in the second half. Only gave up 4 and was able to attack the glass yourself. That's one of the biggest things for the Pacers, rebounding. I think Richard Jefferson brought up a really good point. We understand that playing fast and playing with pace is their thing, but I do think that there are certain stretches, again, in the game where it's okay for them to slow down and value a couple of possessions, especially when you're on the road and things are rolling for OKC. But man, this is an incredible game to have watched and experience, and to see them do it again. It almost feels like a 2K rebuild where you're kind of just on this Cinderella run, and you're just making game-winning shot after game-winning shot, and it feels like fake and it's something that wouldn't happen in real life. And to be able to experience it, they've they've got to be the first team in NBA history. It's probably somewhere on Twitter right now as I'm speaking. They got to be the first team in NBA history to like win every road game. I mean, every game won. Even as they got to be the first team in NBA history that isn't the overwhelmingly number one home court advantage team, I should say. Because I would imagine there's been like dominant number 1 seeds who just always had home court advantage in every single series and won the first game. But I would imagine that like no other team has been on a road that's just like winning every game won. And they've been at home, they've been on the road. They were on the road against Cleveland. They were on the road against the Knicks, and they're on the road now. So 3 out of the 4 series they played, they started off on the road, and they've been able to find a way to get wins. Points in the paint, the Thunder had the strong advantage there. 46 points in the paint compared to the 34 points that the Pacers had. 34 points on 34 shots. I still think that there's a way that they can generate some more emphasis on getting in the paint. Good things happen when they got into the paint. TJ McConnell, I think, was a prime example of that. He should be the guy that continues to set the tone for them in that aspect. And I think good things happen when Nembhard started to be aggressive. Haliburton got to turn that corner a little bit more. 7 of his 13 shots were from 3. I have no problem with that. But again, I think that they're at their best. I did some type of, on Tee It Up, I ran some numbers and did some digging myself. When Tyrese Haliburton scores 20 or more, I believe they're 7-1 in the playoffs. This wouldn't matter because he has 14 points here. And when he has 15 shots or more, they're like 8-1 or 9-1 or something like that. Tonight he only had 13 shots, but I just love that the results also match the eye test. When he is more aggressive, they have a higher chance of success. But I do think that it is a little concerning and a little scary for Oklahoma City to see that the Pacers can not only win on the road, but they can win a nasty game like this with all of those turnovers and all of the offensive rebounds they gave up. And for their best player to not have some scoring outbursts. Usually these games happen and you have like a Giannis Antetokounmpo who just couldn't be denied. Or you have like a Donovan Mitchell who's like, I'm going to just have 48 points tonight. But that wasn't the reality. They didn't have a 20-point score. The highest score is Pascal Siakam with 19 points. 17 points off the bench for Obi Toppin. 40%, 46% from 3. This is the pathway. I saw, who was that? And maybe Bob Myers pregame for ESPN or ABC, where he was given a pathway for the Pacers to win the series. One of those games was them to have a incredible 3-point shooting night. 46% would classify that to me. They almost made 23s. They made 18 of their 39 threes. I think that classifies as a really good hot shooting night. I think he said 2 games would have to be Tyrese Haliburton just being that guy, being the best player just having an outburst like he did against the Knicks that one game where he had the 30-some points, 15 assists, no turnovers. Maybe not necessarily having the same exact game, but one of those type of games. Or I think he said 2 of those like outbreaking games. And then one of the games was maybe he said like OKC just had an off night or something like that. And this is the pathway. Here's the 40-something shooting, like we can't miss from 3 type game. Now I would expect game two. When we broke down the series on numbers on the board, my exact words were, I have the Thunder winning game one. If the Pacers are going to win a game on the road, it's going to be game two so that they can adjust to whatever OKC is going to do defensively. They're going to figure out some things. I love the way Rick Carlisle has coached this playoffs. But for them to win this game one went how I thought it was, except the last 90 seconds. But what I said, I think still stands true. And OKC is a great team. They're going to make their adjustments. They could have the same mentality as the Knicks did and how Knicks fans had it, where it's like, man, that first game is just a blunder. You got to get past it. Do the same things you did for the 47 minutes of the game, and you're gonna be able to make up for this game. But we had that thought process too, and then the next game, you get that outburst from a Pascal Siakam, or they figure something out and they attack it, and you weren't ready for. So I think some of that still stands, where they're going to take all of this information, they're going to take this film, they're going to go back, they're going to adjust it. They're probably not going to give you 24 to 25 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? You might have a better game from a Siakam or a Haliburton, and that can be a little bit problematic. But I think there are some things for Oklahoma City Thunder to improve on as well. That fourth quarter, they didn't make a single 3-point shot. Not to my memory, and the stats say they were 0 of 5 from 3. They shot 13 free throws in the fourth. They made 11 of the 13, 7 of 19 from the field. 7 of 19, 7 shots from J-Dub, who went 3 of 7. Again, Lou Dort was making the threes early in the game. In this fourth quarter, he went 0 of 2. Chet only played like 25, 23 minutes in this entire game, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, y'all. This game just ended, so some of this stuff is all over the place here. Chet played 23 minutes in this game. So 6 points, 2 of 9. You know what I mean? Next game, there's a world where Chet has 20 points. There's a game where Chet has 17 points and he doesn't play 23 minutes and he's not 2 of 9 from the field. There's a game where J-Dub may not be 6 of 19. So, but there's also, some instances where I just felt like a lot of things went your way. A lot of momentum was on their side. They had full control of this game for every single quarter besides that fourth. They lost that fourth quarter by 10 points. They lost the third by 3 as well, but it didn't seem like it was that effective or it meant that much. But then for the switch to just flip that dramatically was telling. I can't wait to see what the adjustments are going to be. I can't wait to watch these post-game interviews. This was a spectacular start to the NBA Finals. I also want to end the video saying this was proof in the pudding. There was so much talk about these small market teams and about these storylines and all of these narratives and the ratings and all of that bullshit. If you're not enjoying this, if you're not finding a way to be excited about this is all you can ask for as a fan of the sport at any level. It's good competitive basketball with two teams who are just finding ways to win, right? A team just won a game where they had 24 turnovers. They had 20 turnovers going into the third quarter, going into half. Their best player had 14 points. Nobody on their team had more than 20. And they found a way to win on the road against a defense that was magnificent for the most part. The MVP had 38 points on 14 of 30 shooting. This is phenomenal to me. So I hope people can stop finding ways to complain about it. But even if they do, who cares? Y'all can continue to enjoy it. I will see y'all in the next game. I wish they can play game 2 like in 5 minutes. Appreciate y'all as always. I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out. Peace.